What's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm a six-figure reseller on Poshmark and eBay. Today I'm going to go over the one thing you should not do if you are trying to raise your ASP. And ASP is average selling price, so essentially that's just like selling higher price things, which is a very common goal for people who are trying to resell. The reason for this is ideally the higher price items you have, the bigger profit that you're making on those items. So what I'm going to talk about today is probably going to seem super self-explanatory, but actually it is really easy to fall into this trap and hinder you from selling higher price goods more easily. So the thing you need to stop doing is stop buying items that are not meeting your profit goal moving forward. As you're transitioning into selling higher priced items, it can be really easy to keep buying things that don't match with what you want your closet to align with moving forward. For example, if you're trying to start selling items for $40 profit and you go to a thrift store and you find something like usually goes along the lines of like, but it's super cute and like you used to sell something like it before and it sold decently, however you're probably gonna make like a $15 profit off of it. Or maybe it's an item that you had sold before, but now with the market it's no longer a great selling item and so it doesn't even sell fast for a lot of money and you're just like left with this really bad buy. I had definitely done this for longer than I would like to admit when I was transitioning my closet. So don't feel bad if you're starting to think that like, oh, I think I'm still doing that now, because it can take a long time to get out of. It's definitely one of the biggest mental barriers when it comes to raising your ASP, because you're just so used to doing like these flips from the thrift store or for cheaper prices before. So it can be very different going into selling majority of items for like over $100. So I'll go into a little bit about why this is a bad thing to keep doing and exactly how to get over it. So probably the main reason for this, other than the fact that you just want to keep selling a higher profit items, has to do more so with like group thinking of your closet. When you think about people who sell specific items really well, let's say like someone who sells vintage really well, they usually have all vintage in their closet. Someone who sells luxury really well, they have like a luxury closet. The reason why people are able to sell things better than other people is because they build a name for themselves and like rapport in their closet. And also when other people who maybe don't even know their closet are finding their closet, they're looking at their closet with all these same items and like, okay, yeah, like this person like knows what they're doing, versus it might be a little bit harder for someone who's selling a little bit of everything to really like perfect and be really great at selling one specific item. Like for example, I used to sell vintage sweaters. I was that person and I would sell a ton of those and they would sell really well. I had a ton in my closet. And nowadays, if I actually try to sell those items, because I really don't have that anymore in my closet, it wouldn't sell as quickly. And it's mostly just because I just don't have those items in my closet anymore. So essentially speaking, it's just a huge thing of like group thinking, you know, like the cheerleader effect.
The cheerleader effect is when a group of women seems hot, but only as a group. Just like with cheerleaders. They seem hot, but take each one of them individually, sled dogs.
And everything like that. When things are in a group, they really like, you see it as a group. In your closet, it is the exact same way. So if you have majority of items that are priced lower and you're trying to add in things to get a higher sale price, you know, that's going to take time. Of course, you're going to have more lower stuff than higher stuff at first, but if you keep putting in that lower stuff, you'll never get the majority of that higher price stuff, and people are going to see your closet and they're going to see that you sell things for cheaper. And even if those things are worth cheaper, it's just like this group thinking that like, oh, maybe they'll accept like a lower offer because they're used to selling things like really cheap, versus when you have things like for a higher price and everything's a higher price and you're selling things for a higher price, it's just easier to think that like, oh, this is like worth a higher price. There's just like a lot of psychology that goes into it, and I like don't study psychology and like I don't even fully know if this is like totally a thing, but it's definitely something I've noticed, experienced, and things that I think about when I am looking at closets and my own. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to your closet and somebody else's, or I guess I should say when it comes to someone's listing and someone else's listing on Poshmark, we're not talking about like a store in the mall where you have like a really large brand and people know that brand. I mean, eventually, hopefully you can get there, but especially starting up, like you're honestly not that much different than someone else if you were to do the exact same thing. If you were to honestly do things exactly to the T, like take the same photos, have the exact same descriptions, you can sell the same stuff. So it's really all just about like how you're building your closet. I've seen very similar closets to mine sell the exact same things and everything like that. They're able to sell things just as well, just because that is what they have made their closet. So you can do a 180 with your closet, but that is why you need to let go of those other items to get there. If you want to get past this quicker and really just be able to let go of specific items, the number one tip I would give is to make sure that you're viewing your business as a business. Well, at least if it is a business. If you're like kind of just wanting to sell a bit more. I'm assuming you're like trying to grow a business here. So essentially treat it like a business and treat your items as transactional. Don't just think of them as like cute or like, you know, clothing that you like and you feel so fond to. Think of them as money, which is what they are. They're gonna come in, they're gonna sell, and they're gonna go, and you're not gonna remember it like a year later. You'll think about like the 60 bucks you made or the 100 bucks you made off of it, not like how cute it was. So that is the best thing you can do when you're sourcing, when you're finding your items, and when you're selling your items. Don't get attached to them. I have honestly never been attached, so I've never had experience being super attached to things, but that is the number one thing that you can do. I think this is like really hard, specifically within the Poshmark community, because a lot of us start by selling things in our closet, and then we start by just, you know, selling things that are cute before we become more knowledgeable. And so we're just like really into this whole like style vibe thing. And then some people's business model, which is like totally a separate thing and totally great, but at least with like how I run my business, I like don't focus really on what I find exactly cute. I mean, of course it has to be trendy and stylish, but like I personally don't have to love the item to sell it, as long as I see that the money is there in the market. And then in order to help you see the money that you have within the item, it's really important to know exactly what you'll probably be able to sell the item for and what you can get for it. Whenever I buy an item, I pretty much know like a very rough estimate at this point of how much I want to get for the item. So essentially I can look at the item and be like, okay, like this, I want 80 bucks. So I see it as 80 bucks, and that makes it a lot easier to separate yourself and see it as like the worth that it is versus the actual item. And this is also just like another thing that helps you not keep items that you are reselling, because if you see them as just like these really cute pieces, it's really easy to just want to keep the item versus, at least in my opinion, even if it's super cute, nothing beats like making money. So I'm just like, okay, fine, like I need to get rid of you. So with those two things alone, you should have a better time getting past picking up items that have a lower sale price. It still can take time, so like don't be too hard on yourself. It is definitely the biggest mental barrier, I think, when it comes to transitioning. But once you get into the groove of selling things for a lot more money, and you'll notice that like when you're listing, everything is at a certain price, and then when you do list something that's like less money, you're like, ugh, like it's like, okay, this is not how it should be. So you'll be able to move past that. So the more and closer you can get to where you want to be, the easier it is to let go of those other items. If you keep up with it, it gets harder because you're kind of like stuck in that position. If you have any thoughts on this, if you've experienced this on your own, or if you like totally disagree with me, let me know in the comments below, or you can also DM me on Instagram at ReCloth Collection. Feel free to follow me to follow along with my journey as I continue reselling. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I put out videos every single Wednesday, so I will see you guys next time. Bye.